I appreciate y'all tuning in the channel today here at 323 Fabrication. It is a dreary, rainy Saturday. This is going to be part 2. I don't know how many parts there's going to be. There's going to be quite a few, I'd imagine. But we're still working on this LS swap on the Chevy II. I'll show you what we've got. I've been cleaning and prepping and cutting, trying to get the tunnel ready to put the shifter boot mount whole deal back in the floor, and then I'm gonna have to build all the sheet metal around it. But I did a bunch of grinding and cutting and all that. I just need to get it tacked in there, and then we're gonna pull the motor and trans back out. That way I can build the sheet metal and weld it all up without putting that stuff all over the drive shaft and the transmission. But if you're new to the channel, I appreciate you tuning in with us today. This is a 1964 Chevy II. It was a 6-cylinder power glide car from the factory. It's had a 383 stroker and a Muncie 4-speed in it. It still has a 9-inch Ford with 35 spline axles, a Detroit wave track, and a 456 rear gear. I was driving this car a whole bunch. We bought it from a guy that was building a race car as a roller, and then had to redo the rear end, redo a whole bunch of stuff on the car. It's got a speedway axle on the front of it. We had to modify that some to make it work better, and unfortunately I hurt the stroker motor. Wasn't really my fault. It was a good motor. We built it. It was good to be beat on, and I had the crank repaired by somebody, and they didn't do it properly, and that cost us having to pull the motor out and go back through it. So decided to LS it because I had a good T56, and the double overdrive would make the car more drivable, and we're going to do fuel injection and all that. And I want to do drag and drive events with this car. We're going to do Hotrod Power Tour in June of 23. It is April the 8th, so we got a lot to do by then. But that's what we got going on, so I'm going to turn this around and show you what we're doing. So here's what we got. Motor is in place. We modified these ICT billet mounts so that we could bolt through into the first block location and then drilled and tapped the other two so that we could position the motor where we wanted it. Got plenty of firewall clearance. But the reason we did it that way, a T56 and a Muncie take the same yoke, and I wanted to be able to use my drive shaft without having to cut it and get it rebalanced and all that mess. This is a 3-inch. It's made by Panhandle Driveline out of Milton, Florida. It's got a Sunex yoke and solid joints on it. This is our T56. So, looks like a mess right now. That's because it is. A Chevy II takes a special shifter and tail housing for a Muncie, and I wasn't going to spend the extra money for that stuff, so I bought that and then made it fit in the car for the Muncie that was in it. It was out here like this, so I had to build that to clear the rods. Well, now it's going to be over here like this. So I've been cutting and prepping and beating on stuff. What we're going to do is get it tacked in the right position and then pull the motor and trans back out so that I can do the rest of the sheet metal work without messing a whole bunch of stuff up. But it's going to work pretty good where we got it. Obviously there's a lot of work to do, got a big hole to fill, but it's all good. It's going to be awesome and be so much more driver friendly because believe it or not, 456 gear with a 29-inch tall rear tire, 295 65 15, 55 was about 2,500 RPM, so that 16-gallon fuel cell didn't get us real far. So this should definitely be better, but that's what we got going on. I'm finna get started on getting this tacked in so then we can pull everything back out of it, and I can work on that. And then we're still gonna have to build a trans crossmember, but that is no problem. That's what we do. TP MiG 200. Got a little bit of a gap to fill. That's going to take a little while. You know, I have to run a bead and a bead and a bead, and I'm just kidding. But goobered it on there. Took some MIG wire to get that to stay where I wanted it. I had to cut that and straighten it out to clear the reverse light sensor in the side of the trans, I believe. Pretty sure that's what that is. I don't know. I hadn't had a T56 in a while. I got to beat this side out straight from the, when the trans is out of the way. Then I can weld that side up, trim that, fill that in, then make a couple little pieces. It's not going to be pretty, but this car is going to have carpet in it eventually. So it'll be good. I'm going to push up on this with the floor jack and a 2x4. Kind of get that up a little bit. And then, I guess, build all this. It would look better if that wasn't in there. I don't know if we got enough clearance to cut it out or not. We might. And just take that out and put a less big piece. Would probably look better. Make it kind of match the other side. I don't think I have the piece I cut out of it. Pretty sure it's gone. But that's what we got. Let's mount it up. So at least we have our shifter location. There's the boot. Should be good. Vastus los.
Vastus los.
Check it out. We got a box that I'm really excited about. It's a little trashed, but we'll see what it looks like. It's hard to read. These are Doug's 62 through 65, I guess, or maybe it does say 67. I don't know. Chevy II LS swap fender well headers. Let's open it up. So came with zinc plated collector, reducer, extension deals, hardware, big old gaskets and some stickers, which is one of the best parts, other than the fact that the headers are just killer. Here's the other hardware. Check these things out. This is the nicest set of headers I have ever had. And I love Doug's. The small block headers that were on this car were Doug's. They're up there somewhere. That's not them. That's for Dad's LS swapped. Or small block swap S10. These are sweet. They're a little beat up, in shipping. But you know what? They're going to be just fine because they are awesome. So what I'm going to do, get some bolts thrown in them, check them out. I've already held this one up. Driver's side clears everything. Passenger side's real tight to that bar right there. But we'll look at all that in a minute. What's really cool about these, being that they're Doug's as well, just like the small block Chevrolet pair was, and the motor is in almost the exact same location, we're probably going to be able to run the exhaust without modifying it, which is going to be awesome. Clearance issue on this side, but that's not a problem. We're going to be able to solve it. There's several ways to go about it. I could actually mill the flange on the header. Get it. I got to take it somewhere and get it milled. Mill it like a 15-degree angle, and that'll drop the header some. Or shim this bar up because it doesn't need a lot of clearance. Something like that. But these are awesome. They're coated. I really wanted to get a raw set so we could just paint them white because that's what I wanted to do. I like that look better. But this is the only way they sell them. I called Doug's, Pertronics Performance, and called Doug's and all that. So that's this was the only option. Needs to come down on that side. The only way we can do that is to tighten that up more and squish that thing.
Right. That's why I brought the level, because.
Or we could shim this side up some, which would still drop that side. You know what I mean? Yeah. If we were to space this up, that would allow that side to drop.
We can get a wrench and pull that down until it is level and see what it looks like.
Okay. needs to go a little. We'll see what it does. It's pretty well level. Man, them things are killer. And there's a gap. Not much of one, but you can see daylight through it. So we'll probably try to do maybe a little something different. I thought about looking into some polyurethane biscuits to replace those, if that's even a thing. Or maybe a little bit smaller rubber piece to cushion it on this and just kind of lower the motor a little. I don't know. We'll figure something out though. But they are on there and I don't have to modify the header. I wouldn't mind cutting the flange, but you know, we'll see. We'll see what we got to do. Okay, I couldn't help it. I had to go get the valve covers back out of the box. I love those things. They're Holley thinned tall LS valve covers. And they look so good with those headers on there. And now the block's gonna be orange, the heads will be aluminum, and it's gonna have a LS6 intake. And that's the first motor that's going in the car. Eventually I hope to build the 6.2 for it with rec port heads, and then do the Speedmaster individual throttle body stack injection setup. Looks a lot like Hilburn stack injection. It's really cool. That's the hope eventually to do. Leave the car NA and just build a nasty, probably a 6.2 stroker, like a 418 or something like that for it. Aluminum block, lose the nose weight, which I'll paint that aluminum block orange too, because it's supposed to be orange. But this is a mock-up motor. But man, those headers with those valve covers, that is so killer. Working on the trans cross member. The floor's all cut up, everything's tacked where it's supposed to be in position. And I've got it picked up about as far as I can stand it. I might have to cut this piece out, modify it a little bit, but I'm gonna go cut a piece of floor out of that carousel red 69 GTO, that parts car that's been cut up so bad, because it's got a mostly complete 4-speed tunnel in it. So I'm gonna cut a piece of that floor out to fix this. And I've cut the cross member. It's bolted on the car and on the transmission. So let me get under there and I'll show y'all what we got going on with that, and explain kind of how I'm gonna fix it, and then brace it up, and it should be good to go. So I pulled this exhaust off because this is kind of in the way and I'm too big to be under here. So here's what we got. It missed, ignore my squeaky creeper, it missed by about 4 inches, which is about the width of the cross member, and that was what we expected according to the measurements I took. So I'm gonna put a piece of plate, you know, that'll capture this. It'll be taller than both of these, and it'll run front to back. It'll go between here, it'll be welded each side of it, and then what I'll do is come off of here with a gusset, do the same thing on this front side with a gusset, and that should be good. This is all bolted on to do the same thing on the other side. And that should be sufficient to support it. If we tear that up, then we're making a lot more power than I expected to, and I think we would have bigger problems than that. So it should be good to go, but that's the plan so far. So I'm gonna take some measurements and cut a strip of 1/4 inch. You know, that's a 1/4 inch wider than this is, and the same thing lengthwise, and to run between there. And then I'm probably have to pull this back out and trim it so that it'll fit. And once we get all that tacked up real good, then I will pull it out and I'll put the gussets on it once it's out of the car. Once this is tacked up, we'll pull the motor and trans back out and the drive shaft, which fits in there really well. And then I'll start working on closing this floor up, weld this cross member out, and then go from there. Hopefully, once this motor and trans comes out, when we put the next one in, it'll stay. So, all right, y'all. So, my apologies. I started working on stuff and was like, all right, I'm gonna video in a minute, show this progress. And, you know, I did one of those things where I just started working and kept working. So, here's where we are. Here's our new cross member. And I may or may not add some more gussets to this, depending on how it acts when it's finished. These are lined up with the bottom part of this. Same thing here. I think it's going to be fine, but we'll see. We'll see how it feels when it's done. But this is the piece I was talking about, which offset this about 4 inches, and then these gussets that I made. And that's what we got going on. I got a little gap to weld, but you know, it's a squirt gun, so MIG welding's easy. So that is the plan. I'm gonna get this thing welded up, thrown in the car, see if I like it. Might still add some gussets. I thought about boxing this in on top, both sides, because that would really strengthen it up. But we'll see what we got. Or I could bring a gusset off of this down the top of this. I don't know, we shall see. But that's what we got. And it fits, looks good. Put the full weight of the trans on it. It's where it needs to be. So I'm gonna weld it up. Hopefully it won't move too much. We'll go from there. Out, it's welded up. Still gotta clean it up a little bit. Ain't the prettiest thing, but you know what? It's gonna be just fine. Just it is nice and hot. But let it cool a little bit. Test fit it in the car, and once we know it's good in the car, then I'll clean it up and paint it. Look at that magic. No floor jack, no ratchet strap. Can y'all guess what that means? That means we have a crossmember. Bolts are started, so those line up. It's tight, but there's drive shaft clearance on both sides. I just ran over my hair with the creeper, which was not fun.
Now you know how Mr. Kitty feels.
Yeah, so you can see the offset, but took a little persuasion. Had to justicate these a little bit with a hammer, but other than that, we got a crossmember, so that's what's important. So next thing we're gonna do is pull this back off, pull the drive shaft out of it, pull the motor and trans back out the car, and then I'll start working on this giant hole in the floor. But I'd say that's a little bit of progress. And this is welded all the way up. We just gotta wire wheel it and paint it. So that's good. Let's go out here. All right, so we got some Firestone Firehawk Indy 500s. They're at 275 60/15 on these 15 by 10 Indy, ET mags. They look really good. They're not quite as tall as the tire on the car, but that was about, for a reasonable amount of money, that was best I could do for street tires without having to pay what a set of drag radials cost for street tires. I actually caught these on sale as well. They were 130 bucks a piece at Walmart, so that was pretty sweet. My buddies at Road Mart got them balanced for me. My buddy Joey put them on, him and his dad. I appreciate that. These are 295 65/15. So this is like almost a 30-inch tire, and those out there are like a 28, I think. It's a little bit smaller, but it's gonna be just fine. The lug nuts came in. These are half 20 studs on a Ford lug pattern, and we had to have offset washers, which are these right here. But I might have ordered the wrong lug nuts. These might be for like a 3-inch stud where it's supposed to stick through, which is, you know, I don't know. We'll see what they look like. They'll hold it on either way. You can always order other lug nuts, but I'm excited to see these classic looking wheels on this car. And then once we do that, I'm gonna open up all these goodies for y'all. This is stuff I've had for quite a while. A bunch of Tick Performance stuff. This is a Polluter V2 cam, which is a max effort LS1 cam. Should be pretty rowdy, especially considering we're putting it in a 5.3. And then some other good stuff. So we'll show you all that. That was stuff ordered for the last 4th gen Camaro I had, the LS1 that was in it, but instead it's all gonna go in that 4th gen 5.3 over there. and we're gonna stuff it in this car. Well, I love the wheel. Absolutely love it, but it is kinda under there. Tire's small. We'll get this other one changed out, set it on the ground, see what it looks like. Maybe roll it out front, but you can see it's not offset. It hasn't shifted the rear end, it's just up under the fender more. So, because the tire's not nearly as big, and the offset on the wheel's probably a little different too. It doesn't look bad. We'll go out here and compare them. Dad rolled the big one out here. Yeah, you can see there's quite a bit of difference in the two tires, width-wise and height-wise. Maybe a couple of inches height-wise, but the wheels are the same width, so that tells you how much smaller they look. But I love these slotted mags. Just a little bit smaller. You got 9 inches worth of tread, and you got about 10.5 inches worth of tread on that. But we'll get this other one thrown on there and see what it looks like. There you go. Went ahead and rolled it out here in the daylight because I couldn't get to the other wheel on the back side because of our table. We got the transmission, the 4L60E blowed apart out of the S10 on there. But it really does look good. I love that look. Wish they set a little closer to the fenders, but I could order a set of 3-inch studs because those aren't long enough anyway, and put a little bit of a spacer in there. You know, maybe a 1/2 inch. What do you think, Dad? Needs to be a little closer to the fender, don't it?
It wouldn't hurt. You got plenty of room.
Yeah. I don't think it'd be real expensive to order a set of 3-inch screw-in studs to replace those.
Right.
And then run like a, I don't know, 1/2 inch spacer.
A little spacer.
Bring it out some.
Yeah.
Or 4-inch studs and a 1-inch spacer. I don't know how unsafe that would be.
Well, if they're racing studs, they'll be safe.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's racing studs. There it is. We'll get this one swapped over and it'll be good to go. Well, from being used to seeing the car with them big old tires under it, it looks like it skipped leg day at the gym. But I love the wheels. I think the wheels look great on there. I really do, and I like them paired with them front runners like that. But there's just a little bit, I don't know, a little bit of knot engagement. So I think we'll address that a little bit. I might order a longer set of studs and run a spacer behind them. Try to get the wheel out, get rid of some of this gap at least. And plus, eventually it's going to be required anyway. I'm going to have the studs either way. We don't exactly have to have them for Hotrod Power Tour, but we will have to have them for like drag week and sick week and all those kind of events. And if we go to NHRA sanctioned track and try to make a pass, which No Name Nationals is NHRA, or no, is AHRA sanctioned, and they do have a tech inspector, so probably have to have it for that too. But I think they look awesome. Got them awesome slots on there with some new Firestones. The plan, I'm gonna throw the lift plate back on the motor, get under the car, snatch the drive shaft out of it, go ahead and we're gonna roll it up here, get the chain fall back down, get the floor jack under it, pull the trans crossmember back out from under it, and go ahead and pull this motor and trans back out. And at that point, I think we're gonna go ahead and separate the motor and trans, and then I'll put the motor in the office on that little rolly Harbor Freight furniture cart, right there under that red one. And that can be a new coffee table. Excuse me. And got to clean up the cross member, go ahead and paint it, and start working on this big hole that is still in the floor. But I'm gonna cut the piece out that I added over here and go out there to that carousel red, which it was actually a maroon car from the factory, that real cut up parts car GTO that was a 4-speed, and cut some of the tunnel out of it. Excuse me. And then I'll be able to patch this floor up a little bit neater, more factory looking, and when we eventually put insulation and carpet in it, it won't show as bad. But I'm excited. I hope y'all are. Before I do any of that, I'm gonna talk about this stuff. So this is from Tick Performance. Some of it is from Summit Racing. And guys, we are not sponsored by anybody. We are sponsored by a 40-hour work week. And y'all watching us, that's a sponsor. Appreciate the support. So what we have here, part number is SH003. This is an LS1, LS6 Max Performance Tick Polluter V2 camshaft. Off the top of my head, I do not know the specs, and I don't think the cam card's in it. Oh, it might be. All right, so it is, I'm gonna tell y'all, this thing's rowdy. So if you get on YouTube and type in Tick Polluter V2, you'll get to hear it, which if you stay with us, you're gonna get to hear it soon anyway. I don't know how to read this. So this doesn't really have what I'm used to reading it. I guess this is how they ground it. Tells you how they ground it. So I don't know. Brand new camshaft though. We've had it for a few years now. It's been in storage. So what I'm gonna do is take a time out and look those up so I can tell you. That would be a lot cooler. My apologies. Back to what I was saying. So the Tick Polluter Street Heat Stage 3 Polluter V2 is a 239, 244 duration, 635 lift on the intake, 610 on the exhaust with a 112 plus 3 LSA. It's from like 3,000 to 7,000, expected wheel horsepower 50 to 70. They suggest a 4,000 plus stall and a 410 gear for manuals or a 373 for automatics. Says it works well with nitrous with a shot size less than 250. Well, it should be pretty gnarly. I've always been a big Tick Performance fan because of Grub Worm. Their stick. Now this is a very competitive stick LT powered catfish, 4th gen Camaro. So what we got, that is the camshaft that we're gonna run. This is a trunnion kit with the bronze bushings for the factory rocker arms. What else do we have in here? A set of BTR 660 springs, titanium retainers, locks, new valve stem seals, all that fun stuff right there. A new timing cover gasket. I've also got I ordered from Tick an LS3, brand new factory LS3 timing cover with the sensor and all, should be on the way. That's the gasket for the timing cover if you're going to reuse one. This is Tick's ported factory oil pump. This was a whole kit I ordered for that sunset orange metallic Camaro I had back in the day. Years ago. This is a brand new, I want to say it's an LS2 style timing chain. I can't remember, but anyway, brand new GM, water pump gaskets, brand new torque to yield balancer bolt, but I'm going to put an ARP bolt in it. New rocker arm hardware. So, lots of good stuff. Get that seal back in there. It's like Christmas all over again. I haven't looked at this stuff in a few years. I just knew I had it put up. So, pretty sweet. Now in our Summit Racing box, this was also stuff ordered for that same car. Brand new set of MLS 3-layer MLS head gaskets. GM part number is 12498544. Couldn't tell you which set that is, I don't remember. It was ordered for an LS1. It'll work on the 5.3. We have a Power Bond underdrive harmonic balancer that is brand new and nice, pretty sweet. We are running F-body spacing on this car. Keep it tighter to the block. I've also got all that stuff from a car we parted out still, because I thought, you know, that might come in handy one day. This is a set of LS1. Now these are Gen 3, so these might not actually work. I don't remember. I just thought about that. But these are ARP 134-3609 head bolts that I think I'm gonna have to order another set because it's a Gen 4 motor. And then we've got just a set of used MSD short plug wires that were in this box as well, but we won't be using those because we are gonna relocate the coils and run a longer set of plug wires to keep the car looking clean, dress the motor up nice. That's what we got, guys. That's all the goodies I brought with me today, which is pretty exciting, although I think I was more excited about the wheels because, you know, I already knew about this stuff, but y'all didn't. So that's cool. Now the plan is to get this mock-up motor and trans out and start working on getting the shifter tunnel finished. Then I can clean it all up, paint it, and we'll move on to the fun stuff like unwiring the car, removing all the small block Chevrolet MSD stuff, and then get the Holley computer mounted and start working on integrating that harness into the car. Trying to use all my Billet Automotive buttons still for the two-step and everything else. So it'll be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a little bit of work. That'll all be in another video though, because that's gonna take a while. Alright, y'all, that's gonna do it for part 2 of us LS swapping this 1964 Chevy II Gasser. Really digging the slots on the back of the car. Changes the look of the car completely, in my opinion. So we got the motor and trans back out of it. Next time y'all tune in, I'm gonna be working on the floor, trying to get that knocked out, and then we're gonna work on, I guess, pulling the MSD stuff out of the car and start working on the harness and all that. So should be pretty exciting. Hopefully soon we'll start tearing the motor down, pull the heads and lifters, and get all the Chevrolet VTEC valve timing junk off of it. Stick that big camshaft in there from Tick Performance. So be looking forward to that to be on the channel. That'll be a good time. I got to order some parts now that I have seen what I have. Definitely have to get a ARP set of head bolts for a Gen 4 motor, and a few other things. The balancer is going to work, so that's good. I'm going to get a different ICT billet valley pan I'm going to get the one that has the O-rings in it because we're not pulling the bottom end apart, and I don't want to drill and tap the oil galleries to put plugs in them while the motor's together. The other motor that we're going to build eventually, we can do that with because it doesn't have a rotating assembly in it, but I don't want to tear the bottom end of this one apart. I just want to put a cam in it and get it in the car. So that's the plan. But I appreciate all our new subscribers. I appreciate y'all tuning in with us today. Throw us a thumbs up down there if you like the video. Tell your friends about it. I appreciate it. Y'all be blessed.